I'm Jeffrey Sacks. I'm a retired major from the Army of the United States. I served in the regular Army. I served on active duty, the reserves, and in the Illinois National Guard. So I've been in all three parts of the Army. And I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and I live in Rogers Park in Chicago, which is on the far north side of the city.
When you were growing up, what era was that? And you were saying West Rogers Park. What was Jewish life back at that time in that area?
Oh, no, I'm in East Rogers Park, actually. And at that time, Rogers Park was very Jewish all in all. Now only West Rogers Park is very Jewish. What was it like? Well, I mean, we had this kosher delicatessen on Morris Avenue called Ashkenaz. And to this day, we still have a kosher butcher on Clark and Toohey. It was quite a Jewish world growing up. And I'm coming up on the 50th anniversary of my bar mitzvah, and my Torah portion will be read this Saturday, Breshit.
What would be your calling to join the military?
Yeah, I think that was my parents' generation. Everybody served. You'd go to family gatherings. It was a large family, and everybody served, and they would sometimes talk about it. And the stories used to amaze me of the World War II generation. And then I also knew that I wouldn't have even been here if it wasn't for them, because what would the world be like if the Nazis and the Japanese had won?
So in that journey, was there any time that you really had a second thoughts about joining? Like, maybe I don't really want to do this.
Yeah, in the 70s, I took ROTC at the University of Illinois. And when you'd wear your uniform on campus, sometimes you would get some very negative reactions because there was still a lot of that anti-Vietnam sentiment, so I said, I don't know, is this the right career for me? And then going through my first summer camp at Fort Lewis in 1978, that's where I was kind of like officer basic training, even though I really didn't make that commitment until I was at Fort McClellan, Alabama, going through my officer training, where I was top of my class, and they offered me a chance to go on active duty. And I said, well, yeah, because I had turned it down initially. I'd become a National Guardsman, taking a commission there. And I said, but, I kind of liked Fort McClellan and how officer training went. And so I did my first little over 3 years because of Fort McClellan, Alabama's the military police school.
What happened at McClellan that really cemented this? What was there a mentor or? Well,
we weren't living in barracks and primitive lifestyle. We were living in like a dormitory situation where we were sharing a room with another guy, and we would share a bathroom between the two rooms. And it was more, we were treated more like gentlemen, obviously, and women at the basic course. And we were professional.
If you were saying that the crossing of the threshold, so to speak, moving in, making an absolute commitment, that would be at Fort McClellan?
Yeah, no, you have to remember when I went through ROTC, that as soon as I enlisted in ROTC, I actually was committed for 3 years on active duty, 3 years in the reserves, and 2 on the list. I had the opportunity to go into the Illinois National Guard, and I took it. But then at Fort McClellan, I was top of the class, and I liked it. And they offered me a chance to go on active duty because they were shorthanded then too.
And active duty, what'd you end up doing there?
Fort McClellan, Alabama, I was assigned to Headquarters, United States Army Criminal Investigation Command. I was a staff officer.
So in that capacity, what were some of the more challenging events or tests that you had there?
In that capacity, well, I would tell you that at 6 o'clock in the morning, I had to be in there to make the coffee. Okay, and then I would pull all the major events that happen around the world off of the message machine, and then I would have special reports I had to work on.
Anything come up that was like emotionally stressful or hard to do? I mean, any particular action report that was harder for you than others? I know as an EMT, we do a lot of emergency services, but sometimes there are certain cases, particularly pediatric cases or something, that can really tug at you.
You'd read these reports, and I didn't have a personal connection to the crime. I wasn't on the crime scene, and even though I was an MP at the time, that didn't really affect me in any way. Doing those synopses, I think the only thing that I remember of significance is being on, one of the things I was responsible for was being the emergency guy for the command.
How did you feed your Jewish curiosity? How did you learn? more about Judaism there.
Well, I think when I transferred to Stuttgart,
Yeah.
and, with the 7th Corps, and we had a chaplain who was a rabbi, and we had a close-knit group, and he was quite the teacher. And Rabbi Applebaum, I still remember the name. Wow. All right, so I get out of the Army in 1983, go into the Illinois National Guard, and I'm pretty happy as a clam in the reserves for years, going back to Europe occasionally for exercises. And like I said, I transferred in 1989 to this 22nd MP company out of Rosemont, Illinois, which was at the edge of the airport. And I did that because I needed to have a company command so I could move up and become a major. And I straightened that unit out on paper anyway. It looked good as far as their equipment went. They were ready to go to war, or more ready than they were before. And